I have identified 3 main scripts that people follow. The first one I call the sequel script. And this is where you do things because they align with the way you've been doing things so far. Yeah. So a very typical one that you'll find is when people finish university, they will only look at career prospects that align with what they've been studying because it needs to make sense. Oh. So if they've been, in your case, studying sport management, they might only look at jobs that align with this. Yeah. Because that makes sense, right? You spend all of these years studying in university for that thing, so that's what you should be doing afterwards, right? Why would I
go away from it?
Exactly. Yeah. And again, for lots of people, that's fine to do this, but most people don't even pause to ask themselves the question, am I following a sequel script here? Or is that really what I want to do? So that's one script, the sequel, where you follow this narrative. The second one is the crowd pleaser script. That's the one where you make decisions to make everybody around you happy. That could be your parents quite often. That could be a partner. And that could be in general just what you think is going to make everybody around you comfortable. With this script, this is why you see a lot of people wake up in their late 30s or a bit later and figure out all of a sudden, oh, maybe actually I didn't want to be a doctor, or maybe I didn't want to be a lawyer. And I just followed that script because everybody around me was cheering on for me and encouraging me, and everybody seemed so happy for me to do this. And the last one is the most insidious one because we all celebrate that script. And this one is the epic script. It's the idea that you need to do something big. You need to do something that has purpose, that has meaning, that has a positive impact. And because of that, a lot of people are looking for this meaningful thing that they can do, for that thing that is going to give them purpose. That seems okay to do, but the result is 2 things. First, a lot of people are miserable because they can't find it straight away. It's not that easy to find the thing that has purpose in your life. The second one is that they are actually making it harder for them to find that thing by being so obsessed with finding it.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that if you ask people who have found their thing, how did you find it? They will all tell you the same thing. I stumbled upon it. I just did a bunch of things. I was working on that thing. I met this person. I was working on this random project. And I was like, whoa, I love doing this. Yeah. That's what I'm going to keep on doing. Nobody tells you I had a 5-step plan. And I systematically did this. And I filled this worksheet. And I found my purpose. Yeah. So that's what I mean by we should stop looking for our purpose. It's something that is preventing us from finding it. Instead, we should experiment, try new things, be open to different experiences, and just trust that at some point something's going to click.
What were the simple ways you started to experiment in your life when you obviously took a step away from Google after you wrote about it in your book? You can even speak about it now. It's awesome. But what are the simple ways you first started when you realized you're following the wrong script?
The way I've done it and the way I recommend anyone who's new to personal experimentation to do it is just to go back and think about your childhood. What were things that you were curious about at the time that somehow you haven't really been doing? And take that and turn it into a tiny experiment. So if you liked writing, for example, just say, hey, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to write for 30 minutes every morning about whatever I want you to do. If you were curious about painting, you can experiment around that. If you were curious about sports, you can experiment around that. Just picking something and recreating that playground for yourself as an adult. In my case, that's what I did with writing. I always loved writing. And so I experimented with starting a newsletter, which now has become this really big thing that is so central to my life, right? But I had no idea when I wrote the first newsletter and started experimenting with this, that would be the case. And similarly, I have experiments where I learned that thing was not for me. I did an experiment where I decided to start publishing YouTube videos every week, for example. And from an external standpoint, that went pretty well. The channel started growing. People told me they liked the videos. But every time I had to sit down and record those videos, I was dreading it. I really did not like sitting in front of a camera and talking to a camera. I like talking to people. I need to see the person's face and the reactions, right? So I stopped. Because even though from an external standpoint, this was successful, from an internal standpoint, it was not really making me any happier. And so that's another experiment with a different outcome.
Yes, people, if you enjoyed that clip, remember to subscribe and like the clip. And you can check out the full episode right here. Yep, it's right here. Just press it. Just tap it. It's right there.